Yeah, get it on. Got to get on that. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. All right. So we got Mayhem in here. He's got some news. I got stuff to talk about as well. Dave Asprey, author, and overall life health coach, motivator guy. Good dude. Yeah, he'll be in the second half. Interesting guy. All right, stuff to get into. I don't have a lot of rules. I don't like a lot of rules at comedy clubs, but I would like this rule, and I think every comedian I know would like this rule, which happens very infrequently, but it does happen. And it happened to me last time I did stand-up, which is there's a couple, a distinct couple. It's a kind of a 60-year-old Asian woman and a 65-year-old dude with long silver hair and a beard and a big cross hanging outside his shirt. And they sit in the front row against the edge of the stage, like front and center, can't miss them, right there. Just literally table and chairs just pushed right up against the edge of the stage. And then you walk out, and then you see them there. And then that's for the first show. And then for the second show, the exact same couple sits in the exact same place. And the comedians always look, behind, through the curtain, before the show. They want to see for the second show, is it full up yet? Is it going to be full up? When do we start? We're not going to start till everyone sees. And they'll look and they'll go, God damn, that couple's there again. And then they come back and they go, shit, I don't want to do the exact same routine in front of this couple that they just sit there and look at you. They don't laugh, they don't smile, they don't do anything, but they just sit there. And I walked out for the second show and I was like, ugh, these two. And I made it my business to do a show that was about 60% different than my first show, which, it's interesting for me, but the first show is usually the best stuff that I like the best or I've been doing the most. And so they get their best execution of a show if you're in the audience. But for these two people, I'm going to make the other 200 people suffer through a show where I'm like literally looking at them going, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do this other bit. I hope I can remember it because it's old, but I got to figure it out. And it's the weirdest thing ever because I should just ignore those two and do the entire show just like I did the first show. And I would if they weren't sitting against the edge of the stage looking at me. Do you know what I'm saying? Unsettling. So the rule should be if you are going to go to two shows in a row, which is pretty crazy because that's like a 5-hour night for them, maybe more. I mean, there was a couple hours off in between shows. It's like a 6-hour night for them. God bless them. And the tickets ain't cheap. They're $60, $70 for a ticket. God bless them, but you got to rotate them to the back and put just a black
but
sheet
this is
over
our
them.
table.
It is, and it's good. But first off, neither one of them laughed, which was funny.
Wait, you're telling me that you're just doing comedy to a deadpan couple in the front row the whole time?
I am. Yeah, but all the other comedians hate it too.
Yeah,
I figure they should. Why are they sitting there? They're sitting right? They just sit right in front. They just stare at you the entire time.
Slack jaw.
It's rare that it happens, but there was another guy who used to go to all my shows. He'd wear a weird hat and he looked weird. And he just would sit right up against the edge of the stage and stare. And all you would think is I don't want to do the same stuff you just heard. I don't want to do it. But everyone else doesn't know it and would like to hear it. And that's the problem.
Yeah, it's disconcerting, it sounds like.
It
You
bothers
figure
me.
that they should just have a Zamboni and run it right through.
Run it right
Everybody
through.
cleared out.
Clear it out, move it back, rotate it in, whatever it is. Just get into the shadows.
Yeah,
get into the
that's
back
what I
where
was
the
thinking
shadows are. All right, another thing I was thinking about. You haven't really heard the pitch. Everyone else has heard the pitch 1,000 times, but I mean it. I have been talking for 30 years into a microphone about attack crows, trained attack crows. And every day I turn on the news and I see these fucking nut jobs on the street yelling at the cops and throwing shit. But it could be Antifa shit. It could be whatever's going on college campuses. Always some sort of Middle Eastern, Palestinian, whatever. It's just a bunch of dumb white people, young people just screaming. Sometimes, like the Tesla dealership over here in Burbank, they blocked off the street on a weekend, and it's just dumb white. It's like 65-year-old white chicks. I don't know. They have they're sort of like sun-blasted, fucked out, washed up hippies that they've lost their rudder. Nothing has ever worked for them, by the way. They were complaining about ecology, then they were complaining about civil rights, and they spent their entire adult life complaining about shit, and nothing ever got fixed. But they're still pissed off, and they're still out there, but they're a little bit frail now. Like if they get hit with a like a pepper spray can or something, they're gonna get fucked up because they have brittle bones and osteoporosis. My attack crows. Okay. Cops, there's not much of a science to this. Like half the cops are using mountain bikes as like a barrier, like a push barrier. Yeah. I don't think a Huffy is supposed to be a push barrier. They got chains and, pedals and knobs and stuff on it. Like it seems weird.
There's water bottles falling off.
Yeah, it's weird. So we try to get people to break up. People are out. First off, people are bored as shit because they're out in the street. You drop a pin and people go, "We're going to the street." And there could be Black Lives Matter, could be Gays for Palestine, could be whatever the fuck going. Whoever of whatever nationality gets killed, boom, they're out. They're out, or they're Trump, whatever they are. They're just out. Elon, they're just out.
Facebook Marketplace,
boom, out. And then the cops don't really know what to do with them because it's not like the old days. The old days, it'd just be like some troublemaking black guy in the 60s, and they just go, well, just take the German Shepherd and just tell them to go eat him. Like, what do we care? So they'd do it, or they'd fire a shotgun round into the crowd or whatever. Like
the days before 4K video.
Oh, my God. The salad days of policing where you could just take a fire hose and just hit everyone and break it up, or a dog or anything, Can't do it anymore. You can't do it. So what are you going to do? Pick up the stupid bike, start pushing. People have no fear of cops anymore. They start grabbing onto the cops, and now they're wrestling with the cops, and the cops can't use deadly force. So they fire the tear gas canister into the crowd. The crowd just picks up the tear gas and throws it back into the cops. They can't do anything because the people have figured out there's no more Kent State. There's no more open fire. There's no more we're going to just start shooting people. That would work, but we're not doing it. And they can't do it, and they can't beat them with billy clubs. They can't do anything. All they can do is take a Schwinn and hold it up like it's like a piece of a picket fence or something, or like shove it at them. Attack crows, people. My attack crows, right down from the sky. First off, once the word got out about the attack crows,
it'd be whispers, yeah.
You wouldn't even need the attack crow van.
Look at that murder of Huffies.
Yeah, it's a murder of Huffies. Those cops just hold their bikes up. That's all they have now. They can't beat the shit out of. These people need the shit beat out of them, and then they'll stop. But they have no fear of the police. So they just keep marching forward and they wrestle with the cops. And it's, by the way, chicks are all in on it. Now, the chicks are wrestling with the cops. They're always just screaming something, either yelling, fuck you, pig, or they're yelling, like, what's going on, which is the other one. It's always just a weird thing. Like, you're punching a cop, and then at some point, his buddy grabs you by the shoulder and starts wrestling you down, and then you yell, what's going on?
Yeah.
I would argue that you, of all people, know what's going on more than anybody on the planet. You just threw a rock at a cop, and then his buddy grabbed you, and you're yelling, what's happening? What's going on? Okay, listen to me. You ever see The Expendables?
I believe so, yes.
What was the insignia on the side of Stallone's airplane? Once you see that.
That's a deep cut, I think. That's
Not for a real man, man.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe I never saw The Expendables. Do I turn in my man card now?
The side of his airplane had like an insignia of like a hawk or bird of prey, I think, coming down from the sky with guns on it or something. There was a thing, and we can find it.
All right.
But here's what I'm saying. Once the word gets out with the crows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because what happens is there's some big fucking rally in Portland and the attack crows are unleashed, right? And everyone's all you can do is disperse. When an attack crow hits you,
the death count, is that what you're referring to? And I'm just saying, if you have,
I'll do it. Yeah, there's a crow on top of a skull,
yes.
Which is good, but I still want to see it. Maybe the poster. Maybe it's the movie poster for The Expendables. Maybe it's not what's on the plane. What's on the plane is good. It's a skull. It's a skull with a crow sitting on top of it, right? But once word gets out, and once the crows are let on, first off, you're not dealing with seasoned warriors. You're dealing with dumb 19-year-old chicks on a college campus. They don't know what.
And cat ladies.
And cat ladies. They don't know what adversity is. When a few crows get going on their head, they just fucking run. They run for cover.
It will kind of be an Inglourious Bastard situation where you just mutilate one protester and then the rumors just circulate that it killed 1,000 people.
Yes, we need the bear, but not the bear, the crow.
Yeah, got it.
I still say, now we're looking at the poster, and the poster doesn't have, I am telling you, there is an insignia of like a bird coming down from the sky that has something to do.
I have seen this.
It has something to do with this, and I don't know if it's on the next poster or an airplane or something, but you'll find it. The point is we're going to use that insignia.
All right.
And Stallone is all about law and order.
He is.
I mean, crime is a disease, and he's the cure. You understand? You see the poster in the next room?
Yes.
Okay. So we will be able to clear that with him, right? Then we get a black van, matte black, murdered out. Murdered out. You hear me? A murder of crows.
Yep.
It's a black van that's got the matte black finish. We wrap it. We wrap the bumpers. There's no chrome.
Obviously.
Smoked out windows.
Yes.
Smoked windows. And on the side of the van is the insignia from The Expendables. It's just a crow, death. Maybe we just use the skull.
Yeah,
which is the skull with the head. I'm still telling you, there is a thing out there. It's out there. It's something with The Expendables, something on the side of the plane, something. But the crow on the skull head. And it's in rainbow tape. So you can read it. And it's on both sides of the van.
Yeah.
Once the word gets out about the attack crows, soon as the van pulls up, everyone just scatters, right?
Well, I'm going to leave the door ajar and then swing into a J-turn so that they bust open and the crows come flying out.
Now you're onto something.
All right.
The van is... It's murdered out, but it's got a little A-team in it. It's got a little 70s custom van. And as the guy goes hauling down the street with his open blackjack headers and his Krager rims, a little lift in the back, leaning forward, and they just hear him coming. You know what I mean? And then he pulls an e-brake and whips around, and the doors fly open in the back, and that's when the murder crows just go sailing out. You want to feel safe in your home, and you should feel safe in your home, but traditional security systems only take action after someone has already broken in. And by then, it's too late. Simply Safe is setting the new standard in home security. Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection can help prevent break-ins before they happen. That's right. Otherwise, it's too late. With AI-powered cameras backed by live professional monitoring agents, they'll monitor your property and detect suspicious activity before it ends up in your living room. Monitoring plans start at a very affordable $1 a day. So just about $1 a day. And you get the security of Simply Safe. Always been a fan of these guys. They've been a great sponsor of this program. Probably our oldest sponsor, Simply Safe. Right, Dawson?
You can get 50% off your new Simply Safe system with professional monitoring and your first month free at simplysafe.com/Adam. Just head to simplysafe.com/Adam to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this year. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Homes.com. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Maybe it's Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory. Or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home the best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth info they need to find the right home. Homes.com, we've done your homework. Once we get the rioters conditioned, because word spreads fast with them. The Portland people talk to Seattle people, they're texting the DC people, the Chicago, it's all out.
Yeah.
Once the van gets dispersed 2 or 3 times, all we need is the van pulling up and throwing a couple revs, and everyone just starts running into whatever the closest Starbucks is, whatever the closest building, whatever has a roof on. Once we condition people with the van,
like Genghis Khan,
they're done.
Set up his yurt outside your city, and
let's
go ahead and capitulate.
That's right. So cities at some point wouldn't even need attack rows. They just need a custom van. You just go on eBay, buy 77 Chrysler van with Kragers on it and a lift kit and open headers. You can get that thing for $3,000. Take it to a local place, wrap it in black, put this Stallone insignia on the side of it with the skull, the thing with the rainbow tape, and that's it. That's it.
Out of there.
Trying to think if there's a song.
That's what I'm thinking, too. Like, what is a good, Murder of Crows type song? Oh, I got it. Mr. Jones and me.
No. Hold on a second.
Oh, that's Counting Crows.
Black Crows song.
Shit.
What's their big hit? Baby, here I am on the man.
It's hard to handle.
Hard to handle.
Man on the scene.
Hard to handle, just as on a loudspeaker on top. Ba-ba-na-na, ba-na-na-na-na. And the guy throws a few revs. Ba-na-na, and everyone just starts fucking running. All those bitches will scatter. It'll work.
All right.
It'll work. It would. Once you condition people for the crows, they would run.
I just like the time to
everyone's greatest fear is a crow coming at their head. And as far as the crows went, it's the easiest thing in the world. First off, there's tons and tons of crows.
Expendable.
Secondly, super easy to coach up and teach. You can teach them to do anything.
Coachable.
And if one of them got killed. It would just be another dead crow. Let them go. It wouldn't take 100 of them. It'd take like 10. And that'd be it. They just go with the crow. And it's easy. If you're a cop, they recognize the cops. They know the cops are. The cop has a certain hat or whatever it is. And that's it.
So we got our street soldiers, the common crow, but I mean, we can branch out from here. I think Canadian geese are very formidable.
Canadian geese do the groundwork.
That's what I mean.
Because they'll go at anybody.
That's what I'm
anytime.
saying.
I
That's
love
a
it.
second wave, and then have them with Huffy bikes. It's game over.
The geese hate kids. That's what I love about geese. They hate 4-year-olds. Anytime a 4-year-old like wanders down by the pond, there's always some goose just kicking the shit out of them.
You're
right. We go with the goose ground game.
All right.
We go from the air.
I'm thinking hummingbirds got to be worked into this. I mean, if we're going to get an ornithological weapon of mass destruction.
You're getting over your skis.
You're right.
You can't train a hummingbird. They're untrainable.
What? I don't know. I think with enough syrup, we can get anybody to do what we want.
I don't think a hummingbird is trainable. I disagree. I agree. They love syrup. But I don't think they're trainable. But a crow, not only do they train them to pick up cigarette butts at the park, but people have friend crows that they train them to do puzzles and stuff. Like, they can use tools.
Hear me out. Animatronic cat lady with nectar in her eyeball. Okay. So that we train these hummingbirds to associate the eyeball with nectar and just let them free after the crows did the first round.
You're making a mockery of this whole idea. But I will say this. The hummingbird would be combated because people would start showing up with tennis rackets. They'd shuttlecock them right across the fucking town square. Like, they would start showing up. They're going to start showing up with helmets and tennis rackets. Okay?
Goggles.
And goggles. But it doesn't matter. The attack crow is still going to fuck them up.
You're right.
We have something on this airplane? Or are we just going to watch the movie? Let's see. I swear it's on a poster somewhere. That's my... Oh, all right. That's helpful. It says
Expendables on the side. No. Wait,
Expendables have now had...
the worldwide crow right there on the wingtip.
The Expendables have now done like four or five. So maybe we just need a poster from one of them we hadn't seen. I swear, it's somewhere. All right. The point is attack crows now more than ever.
Yeah.
You can't use dogs. Dogs have too much racial baggage attached to them, and people like dogs.
Yes.
So if the dog gets stabbed or smacked or something, they're going to blame the cops. Crows, no problem. It's time. It's time, my pretties.
And as far as the song goes, it should be the Black Crowes' Remedy, and just the beginning. Bow, 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 bow.
Yeah.
Because it's the remedy.
Yeah, it's the remedy. All right, you're right, Dawson. I'll give you honorable mention on this, but it's going to be the Black Crowes. Yeah. Let me just hear the first. I just need the first rip. So it's a think A-Team van.
Yeah. Ooh.
But murdered out with the big speaker on the roof, and this just pulls in right. And every one of those fucking bitches out protesting would just stop right now and just go, oh shit. They start slowly turning, and you see this guy's just throwing revs at the end of the street. And then he does he lights up the rear tires.
And the birds get released right here. Here they come.
Yeah. He's coming, now he's hauling ass. Now he does the e-brake in this turn, and the rear doors just go flying open, and all of them go sailing out. All right, good. All right, that's good. All right. Tell me it wouldn't work. Every college campus, everyone, they disperse.
Yeah.
Clear immediately. All right. I was thinking about this. I had a weird thought. I don't know. Weird flashback thought. Your mom made you sandwiches, right?
Oh, yeah. Peanut butter and jelly and bologna.
And we were talking about, I think you could kind of measure how much your mom liked you by how much she put into each sandwich.
It's true, yeah. A little more love on this one versus that one.
Well, some sandwiches are involved. They take 20 minutes to put together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I was a no sandwich mom.
I know.
That's bad.
I'm feeling the pain
but
for you.
you being a bologna sandwich guy, that's
like
not a lot of love.
I know.
You barely beat my mom.
Yeah.
And then there's, French dip mom.
Ooh.
There's there's BLT mom where you have to make bacon. You have to actually fire up a skillet to.
I know it's another level up the chain for sure.
So we didn't have any of that. But I will say, I was thinking about my dad. And I forgot about a weird story. You know, you have these weird little flashes of like, oh yeah, what was that about? My dad never really got pissed off, but he would sort of weirdly tell me, because he was kind of a psychological creature. He would sometimes say, "Hey, that hurt my feelings," or something like that, which is weird from your dad, because it feels, I don't know, sort of vulnerable.
Dad never said that.
Your dad never said that?
Never said.
He just told you to yell at you, do push-ups in the rain?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, my dad, I had a play in the East Valley Trojans when I was playing Pop Warner football, when I was like 9. 8, 9, 10. Good, my second or third year. Wasn't my first year. Maybe my second year, my third year. And we had this running back. His name was Michael Bauer. He was this blonde-haired little kid. And he took the handoff and he ran it straight up the field. Now, I would say 80 yards, but it was probably 50 yards or something. But we were playing on a standard high school football field. And he just took one right up the gut, and he just broke away. Because in Pop Warner, it never happens in pros because the DBs are so fast that they usually catch up to the guy. But in Pop Warner, once you broke free from the linebackers or whatever, pretty much just daylight. But everyone's the same size in Pop Warner. And so the offensive linemen are like the same size as the running backs, same size as the linebackers and stuff. And I could run a little bit, and I was playing offensive line. And when he broke this thing free and was just chugging down the center of the field, there were 2 guys from the other team that were chasing him and on his heels. And I ran up next to him. So now it was like all 3 of us were just running behind Bauer, chasing him down the field. And I threw a cut block, a roll block, probably a block that'd be illegal these days, but it was awesome. I threw a roll block, and I took both of them out. And then when Bauer was celebrating scoring his touchdown, the coaches all ran up to me.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, what I did was much better than what he did, because they just handed him the ball and he just ran.
Yeah.
Well, he did what he was supposed to do. I did something different while everyone was standing around watching. I ran up to him and took 2 dudes out with a roll block, and they both just went down. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And so the coaches were all like on me, like, yeah, like I scored the touchdown. I didn't do anything. At the time, I remember thinking, look, I just did, I was blocking, you know? But I think for them, they were like, oh, that's advanced football for a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
He's thinking about, he's working on a different level here. And then when I walked off the field, my dad would go to some of the games, and he would always fold out a folding chair and read a book on the sideline, like down the sideline. It's weird. He would never sit in the stands. I guess he didn't really care. He didn't want to see what was going on. He treated it like I'm going to the park to read a book, and then he would open his chair, and then he would read a book, which is weird because it was weird watching him read the book while everyone else would be in the stands, like cheering and stuff. But he didn't really care about the optics. And then I probably got tired of watching him reading the book on the sideline, I guess. And I was coming off the sideline. Everyone was cheering on me. And my dad got up because he saw the commotion, and everyone's cheering on me. And I went past him, and I just kind of brushed him off. You know, I gave him the high hat or something. I didn't really mean to. I was just kind of running to the sideline to celebrate with my teammates, and my dad did hey, good, you know, and I kind of
big leagued your father.
Big leagued him. Yeah. And then later on, he didn't like it. Like he told me it hurt his feelings or whatever. And I was like, oh, come on. So your dad would have just hit you, right?
Yeah. My dad would stare me down like, good job. Like the good job comes from the stern face and the not frown. You know, it was just enough of a not frown that, you know, one time I asked my dad, what's the matter? And he went, nothing. This is the best day of my life.
That's it.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is your dad still with us?
Yeah, he's with us in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I know you got some news stories.
I do, yeah.
I think we should take a break, and then we'll come back, and we'll do some news right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Wow. Yeah. Man, I picked the wrong profession. I should be on stage singing right now. They are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for your maintenance and repairs of your vehicle. Oh, yeah. Always gone to O'Reilly. Always got my parts there. Used to do it because I had to. Now I do it as a hobby. Either way, they're still there. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you're going to find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they're friendly. So stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us, and you can do it online at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Homes.com. Well, some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. I would join that chorus. It may be that Homes.com's super comprehensive, transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home the best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com, well, they go above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth info they need to find the right house. I'm such a fan of these guys. You know me. I love real estate. That's why I love Homes.com. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, regarding the whitest songs ever, I have to put a word in for You Left Me Just When I Needed You Most. And the greatest thing about it is the guy has a complete pedophile porn star name, Randy Van Warmer. His actual name is Randy Van Warmer. And as cool as that is, the song is absolutely not cool. Love the new category. Let's hear some challengers. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Van Warmer. Maybe he can drive the Crow van. And just when I needed you most, you left me. Yeah, white guys complain about chicks dumping on them. The biggest puss fan is Brad. Brad is like, should just be called cuckold. Like they just whine about reading diaries underneath trees and having rooms, and he's like singing to the woman like, you can leave and get with another guy, but I'll still have your room open for you if you ever want to come back. Like, see, that's one thing the black man has mastered. They sing about what they're going to do to the chick sexually. You know what I mean? They're going to rub them down. They're going to oil them down, and they're going to get busy on them. But they don't sing about being friends and getting to know you and not wanting to push on you or get in your space. It was 60s. You know, we have the pedophile rock, Dawson. We got to put together wuss rock.
Yeah.
I'd like to get to know you. Yes, I would. Well, I'd like to get to know you. Like, just sing about, baby, be friends with there's a 60s. It's like 68 to 71. There were just a bunch of wuss rock. Like,
Something tells me I'm into something good.
Well, I will say Herman's
the beat,
Hermits,
yeah.
he's holding their hand and shit. But that's a little earlier. And they had to say, I'm holding your hand and I'm walking you home and stuff, because they couldn't say I'm balls deep on a futon. You know, they couldn't do it. Later on, we redeemed ourselves with the song Chevy Van. Come up, take me by the hand. We made love in my Chevy van, and that's all right with me. That's a story about a guy cruising into town in a custom van, picking up a hot underage chick barefoot, takes her out to the river, basically bangs her by the river, and bangs her in a Chevy van, and then just drives her back into town and just releases her. I mean, it's a story about abduction and rape more than is anything, but that's the early 70s. But we had that span of getting to know you. Blame Sonny and Cher. Every one of their songs was, I want to be friends. I want to get to know you. I want to hang out. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. It's like late 60s white wuss rock is essentially what that is.
So
what
men
that is.
have turned to women in the past.
Oh, yeah. There was a 60s, I'm going to put some beads on, and I just want to hold hands. And now, look. Dudes figured out, it was like Occupy Wall Street. The women were there because they hated what Wall Street was doing to the American people. The dudes were there to try to bang those chicks, but they had to pretend like they were down with the cause.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Always happens. Yeah.
And so there was a period where dudes realized that wearing the Letterman jacket and being the captain of the football team was just scaring the bitches. Like, you're too big and scary. What if we went wafy, kind of dressed like you dress?
Exactly.
And we put on, like, we go full flower power, and we'll put on a lot of beads and shit, and then we'll go to the Monterey Pop Festival with you. We'll go to Woodstock and whatever. We're still trying to bang you.
Yeah.
But we're trying to blend and bang. We're blending in.
It's camouflage. Like you dress yourself up as a lesbian to get laid.
Well, look, yes. You look at Sonny Bono. Sonny Bono was a beatnik hippie in the 60s, and then later on he's the congressman from Palm Springs, and he's wearing a 3-piece suit, and he's got a mustache. And he's
But usually he dressed like a figure skater.
He just dressed like whatever anyone wanted so he could infiltrate. And when he's running for Congress, he dresses like that guy. And when he's trying to bang runaways, he dresses another way. That's all. He just, whatever it took. Whatever it took.
Yeah,
You understand?
I got it, yeah.
Okay.
An adaptable Sonny.
Yeah, you called adaptable. I personally don't like that quality in a man.
Yeah.
Myself, but okay. Oh, we have all 4 Expendables posters.
Yeah.
Still not there. What is the eagle?
Are you sure it was the Expendables and not that movie, The Losers?
No.
What?
No.
All right.
I made a mistake.
It's all right. We all
made
do.
a mistake. I need the poster from Con Air. Yes, Dawson. I need the Con Air.
Dawson knows you too
well.
well.
The Expendables, look.
Yeah, touche. Yeah.
A skull with a crow
You're right.
standing on top of the skull
It's
head.
in the same filing
It's not going to
cabinet in
be
your
bad.
head. Yeah,
it's
you're
not
right.
going to be bad.
Great logo.
It's good for our van.
It is.
It's good for the community.
I mean, look, the decal is going to look sweet.
It's bad for Antifa, but it's good for store owners in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? But it is now. Keep in mind, Con Air's like that's a hawk or an eagle or something. I don't think it's a crow.
No.
So we might have to modify. We can modify.
We can modify. I mean, look, we got a graphic. We'll get AI on it.
Yes. Oh, sorry. It's on the What did I say?
Jailbird.
It's the poster. I think that we're looking for. But yes, I think it's on the poster. But it's the jailbird. It's the eagle coming from the sky. Look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to producers of both films.
All right.
And I'm just going to go, look, we need your logo, the law enforcement community behind me, and we're just going to sort of make a hybrid. We're going to sort of take ideas from this and put it onto that. Okay?
Just type that into ChatGPT. I think we can bypass a lot of these producers.
You may be right. All right, what's your story over
I
there?
got some news here. The Gen Z is turning to traditional trade jobs amid fears the AI will soon replace many white-collar careers, a new survey has uncovered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna. But it's interesting. So we thought truck drivers were going to be out of work.
Nope.
And we thought, and they may. I mean, there may be self-driving
Partially,
trucks
yeah, yeah.
and fast food workers. But we forgot about plumbers and... Ooh, there's that. There it is. Let's see if we can
Con
see it.
Air.
Yeah, I got to see that bird in Con Air. So it's pretty much if you're a plumber or electrician or
Yeah, that's what the
something,
guys
you're
are
never
running
going to
to.
be out of work.
Plumbing, welding, electrical work, including 37% of those with a bachelor's degree. So even people who are educated and can't find a job in their industry are turning to trade work.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I think a lot of people think the ultimate, they want comfort in their job, but purpose is more important.
That's true.
You got to have purpose. You have to have a feeling. There's something in life that a lot of people don't get to experience, and it's the most important part of life. And losers never experience it. It's beginning, middle, end, and then repeat. Beginning, middle, end. A lot of people that don't have a successful life, it's one big middle.
Yeah.
It's when I think back on, like, my mom didn't have a happy life. Her life was just one big middle. It didn't really have, you go, I'm going to write a cookbook. And you sit down, you start writing a cookbook, that's beginning, and then at some point you're working on the cookbook and you're in the kitchen and you're experimenting, or you're taking a picture of lasagna, whatever it is. You're finding a publisher, you're self-publishing.
You're striving.
Right. And then at some point, the book comes out on this date, and you're going to be at the Barnes & Noble in Sherman Oaks, and you're going to signing these books, and people are physically handing you your book. That's the end. That's a beginning, middle, end. Then there's a version of that where you go, I'm going to put a carport at the end of the driveway. You know what I mean? And then you sit there and you start designing it, and you look at pictures and you go, I like that one. And then you buy the lumber, and then at some point you pull your car into the carport. Beginning, middle, end. The people that have shit lives, it's one long middle.
Yeah.
There's never any of that. And the good part is the part where you write the book or you make the carport. And if you do enough of that, it gets easy. But if you never do it, everything's impossible. You can't figure out a way to finish stuff and to do stuff and whatever. When you sit in a cubicle and you do data entry, it's one long middle.
I know.
Everything's just a middle. But when you run, when you do a job, like, electrician, plumber, like whatever that thing is, it's a beginning, middle, end. I mean, the guy came over here. He put a charger outside, electrician. I'm handy electrically, but I'm not good enough to pull 240 out to the outside of the house. Or I'd probably,
you could
probably kill myself. But
exactly.
this guy shows up at, 8 in the morning, and somewhere around 5 o'clock, the thing's on the outside of the building, and he's going, plug it in, test it out. Plug it in, a little light comes on, and he's done.
He's good,
beginning,
yeah.
middle, end. He pulled up. That was the beginning. The whole day was the middle.
Like the natural way that a human gets dopamine. Like, this task is complete.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you have to have that. And so when you work in the trades, you definitely have a day full of beginning, middle, end. Sometimes the middle lasts, 4 months because it's the length it takes you to build the garage or whatever it is. But you get the end, and then you get the satisfaction, and you get the experience, and then you apply that to everything, and then nothing's any big deal. And it's like, I talk to people all the time, when you talk to someone like Jimmy Kimmel, he's done so many beginning, middle, ends that when stuff comes around, it doesn't mean anything to him. Like, you just go, when we started the Feast of San Gennaro. He just went, we need a Feast of San Gennaro in Hollywood. And I was like, okay. How do you start a feast? He's like, I'll figure it out. Next thing you know, there's Tommy Lasorda, and they're auctioning off Shaq's shoe, and the money's going to the kids, and there's Ferris wheels and food everywhere, and the streets are blocked off, and it's like, yeah, just start a festival. 1,000, 2,000 people show up.
Yeah.
It's or you never do. And I think too many people sitting in cubicles with no beginning, middle, end, their brain starts to rot away.
Yeah.
They get horrible, horrible ideas. They lose their ability to decipher things and to assess risk and so on and so forth. And then something like COVID comes down the pike and they get decimated. Not by COVID, but by the ideas. Their fucking brain is so weak and so easy to scramble that when a shit idea like COVID comes down, they don't know what to do. Now, they're just fucking double masking it alone in their car. And they're wiping down, produce before they bring it into their house because their brain is fucking rotted. So we need people to get back to this so we can have plumbers and electricians, but also so we can have people that can fucking think.
Yeah.
All right.
Another factor is the average cost of college in the United States has more than doubled over the past 24 years to $38,000.
Is that for 4 or per year?
Yeah.
4.
I guess per year. Yeah.
$38,000 a year?
Yes.
It's such a fucking waste. I don't even know. I didn't even know where to begin.
Well, it seemed like a whole marketing stunt that they perpetrated over 100 years where you have to have this piece of paper to prove that you're smart enough to work at our company.
Listen, they did this. They did it. I think they got the wives. They got the women. The women are the tone setters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would sit around when my kids were like 15 or whatever, and all the moms would go, and you got to get the tutor, and they got to take the PSAT, and I'd go, yeah, I don't care. They could go learn, just get a fucking job, learn a skill, be happy, do something, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? You got to start putting money away for college. You got to have money for college. You got to go to college. And I'd go, or not. I don't care, or not. I don't care. You're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
You're talking to a millionaire who's never been to college. I figured it out. You can fucking figure it out. All the guys I know that are successful dropped out of college, pretty much. I mean, except for Dr. Drew. He needed his whatever. All the other people, they pecked away a little, and then they got bored, and then they went and did something else.
Yeah, I wager that most jobs out there that require a college degree would more, you could do it like hands-on training and learn it in a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you just, most people, if you're smart enough,
if
you
you
can do
focus on a trade, now you can't be like a journeyman carpenter in a year because there's too many facets of it. But if you just want to be an electrician and you just want to, or plumbing or HVAC or drywall or something, you just stick with one lane, you'll be good fast.
But I'm saying if you have an apprentice, after a year, this guy has a good set of skills. Even in mixed martial arts, I can coach a guy for a year and he has a well-rounded, he's not a master, but he has a well-rounded set of skills.
How often do you have to coach him?
I mean, daily, preferably. You know what I mean?
How long each day?
2 hours in the morning and afternoon, 2 hours at least.
Oh, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, at least so you get, maximum training camp, and your body can only do so much so hard. I prefer to have my guys really go for an hour and a half hard and then rest and then do another hour and a half. Because,
that afternoon.
Yeah, that way you have enough time to do active recovery and come back stronger. And it's a mental thing where I have to have this guy's head clear so he can pick up a new skill.
Are they doing cold plunges and saunas and all that stuff?
The smart ones. Yeah, the smart ones.
Where are they accessing all this stuff?
The Forge Boxing and Fitness out near downtown has an entire recovery unit inside the gym.
What's in there?
Cold plunge, barometric pressure, the UV light sauna, regular hot sauna. Like it's a full service gym, like where they understand that recovery is a huge part of performance, and so they make that ingrained in the training instead of, having to go find some weird bathhouse to do that in.
Yeah. That could lead to trouble. All right, what else you got?
All right, next up, Senate unanimously approves a $25,000 tax break for tip workers.
I have turned the corner and gone a different direction on this, and I think it's going to be wildly unpopular.
Yeah?
A lot of my opinions are wildly unpopular. But let's break it down. I think we all sit around and we go, yeah, these guys, these tips, leave them alone. Why? That tip's their money, Why not their money? You get a tip. Why should it be taxed? These people are working hard, bartending, servers, whatever. Let them keep their money. It's a tip. And I would sort of in that camp, I went along with it. I was like, yeah, all right. Some guy gives you money. That's your money. That's your government don't need to get their hands on that. But let's break it down. There's a thing that bothers me with tipping, and it's always bothered me, in that when I was at the end of my carpentry career, I was making $15 an hour, just flat rate. And I drove a truck. I had tools. I had a lot of tools. You got to have your own arsenal of tools, expensive tools. And, I would show up. I knew how to build cabinets. I knew how to build whatever it is. And I'd come in and I'd work. And I'd work, 8 hours, and it's $120 a day. And then taxes would be taken out, And I had like 10 years of experience. And then my roommate worked as a bartender, like Tequila Creek or someplace, and he'd come back at the end of the night. He'd work like a 4-hour shift or a 5-hour shift. By the way, getting phone numbers, talking to chicks, making cocktails. He'd come back with $180 worth of cash, and I'd be like, you don't have a skill. Making pina coladas is not really a skill. I have a skill. I drive a truck. I'm busting my ass. I'm up at 6 a.m. and whatever. I'm reading blueprints.
Yeah.
And you're making more money than me, and you're coming back with phone numbers. I never came back off a job site with a phone number.
Yeah.
And I was always jealous. And also they had cash, And, then you get a little older, and you go out with the boys, and you go to a nice steakhouse and you order some drinks and maybe a bottle of wine or something, and the thing comes to $600, $700, $800. I mean, I've been out with William Morris guys at sushi places and stuff with the company card and stuff. I've gone out and spent $2,000, And then you're working the tip out, You're like, okay, let's see, 10%, it's 200. So, 400. Let's give her $500. It's always somebody at the table drunk, it's because she's hot. 23-year-old hot chicks, but she's working 6 other tables too. We're not the only people in the restaurant. She's got other tables. You talk to chicks who've done bottle service and shit, they're walking out of there with thousands of dollars. I mean, on a good Saturday night, some NBA baller comes in, gets the bottle service. Fuck that. Tax the shit out of it. Why the fuck? I'm fucking on a roof all day. I'm fucking on a roof getting $15 an hour. The government, everyone's like, tax the shit out of that, bro. Tax him up good. What have I just said? Hey, man, I'm working hard. I don't want to be taxed. People be like, fuck you. You're getting taxed. So 23-year-old hot chick who's walking out with big handfuls of fucking cash over doing nothing all fucking night in air conditioning. And by the way, you work in a field where, what the fuck? The bottle service. All right, it's $1,000 for a bottle of what? Vodka?
Yeah.
You're getting tipped based on just bringing a bottle out? And also, what's the difference? There's jobs where nobody tips. You work behind the grill at a McDonald's. I work behind the grill. I never got a fucking tip. So you just some hot chick who walks around, drops off drinks, or there's a bottle of wine, and the bottle of wine's $300. You're just getting tipped on that versus a bottle of wine that's $18 or $31. Same bottle, same cork, same thing, same whatever. Fuck you. Tip Tax the shit out of them. Tax those tips.
Wildly unpopular
free
opinion.
fucking money. Why do you guys need more free money? And by the way, if you're in an industry where you're being tipped, you're either serving booze or sucking dick. You're not doing anything. You understand? You don't have a skill. We don't need you. You're just bringing people shit. You don't have a skill. I don't care. You're bringing people food. That's not a skill. You're making a drink or you're giving a rub and tug or whatever you're doing. It's not. You're in. If you're in a business that gets tips, you're probably hurting humanity. You are either bringing them booze or dealing blackjack.
Yeah.
You're doing something. There's some vice. There's some vice world. You're rub and tug. You're doing something. So you don't tip the plumber who comes to your house. You don't tip the electrician that comes to your house. You don't tip the guy at the Home Depot who gets the rolling ladder and goes up a story and gets, measuring off anchor chain for you and cuts it and wraps it, puts the thing on it and hands it to you. No tip for him. There's no tip. There's no tip for cops or firemen. There's no tips for any. I did construction my entire life. I never got a fucking tip. But you bring me booze at an airport, we got to tip you out? A thing any 14-year-old could do. Any 14-year-old could do what 90% of tip jobs any 14-year-old could do. I mean it. What is a tip job? Like, you don't tip surgeons. You don't tip skilled people. You don't tip your lawyer. I mean, like fucking billable hours that gouge the shit out of you. But you don't. Where's the tipping in our society? It's massage. Okay.
Uber Eats.
Yeah. Uber drivers, delivery guys, people that either bring you booze or carbs or get you addicted to gambling or sex. It's all vice. It's all people being bad.
Yeah,
it's uneducated people with zero experience, no life skills. By the way, if you just said, "Look, tomorrow, I got a magic wand," you go, "We can get rid of. I can get rid of a group." Okay, who are we going to get rid of? Air traffic controllers. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not. Cops. Nope. Don't do it. Firemen, nope. Loggers, nope, don't do that. Farmers, nope. Don't. Surgeons, nope. People who get tips. Yeah, we probably get rid of them. I don't see like we would need them. Fucking 40-year-old dudes with ponytails and fucking high school education. Like we don't need people who get tips.
Yeah.
And it can all be replaced the following day. Air traffic controller, surgeon, fireman cannot be replaced later that day. Tip people that day. All of them. You're worthless. We should be taxing you at a higher rate.
More tax on tips.
More tax on tips.
Yeah.
That's the
unpopular opinion.
Well, first
I'm
off,
with you.
let me tell you about the siren song of tipping.
Yeah.
You got some chick, right? She's 23. She's making more money than a fucking school teacher and a fireman combined working at a nice restaurant or a nice club, right?
Yeah.
But let's check in with her when she's 40. Time not been so good, been partying a little with some of the customers and so on and so on. Now you get this poor person and they're in the worst position anyone can be in. Like a 40-year-old dude or a 50-year-old dude or 50-year-old dude. Zero skill. No skill. Your skill set is bringing plates from one place to another place. You bring plates and a glass. Your number one skill is probably, if I'm being honest, carrying a full martini through a restaurant and not spilling it. Don't you think?
Yeah.
That's your number one skill. And now you're old. Because you couldn't walk away from this shit. I've had these people where they go like, fuck, man, I used to make $400 a night bartending. Now I'm a fucking, dad wants me to go to CPA school or something like that. Like, I don't want to take half the money and sit somewhere all day. Yeah, but at some point you get old and you're still a fucking bartender. I was in Hawaii, had the families and the friends and the friends and the families and the whatever. It was like my turn to pay. And there's a guy, just 45-year-old dude, just waiter, and he was serving our table, whatever. And I was like, all right, give him the bill was $800 or $700. It was expensive. Bunch of people, drinks and stuff like that. I was like, give the guy $200 or something. Everyone's like, oh, give him $250. They were complaining. I was like, he doesn't. Who cares? And it's like, well, this is how he makes it. Yeah, he's 45. He has no plan. He's never left this thing because he gets tipped so well these guys. Why the fuck should a bartender or waitress at a nice restaurant make much more than a school teacher, a cop, or a fireman? The school teacher gets taxed and tipped. I mean, not tipped, but taxed, right? No tip, tax. Fireman, no one says, let's not tax cops. Let's not tax firemen. Let's not tax school teachers. All we do is complain, school teachers don't get paid enough. First off, they never fucking work. School teachers never work. They have 3.5 months off during the summer. They take every fucking holiday, every Martin Luther King, Arbor Day, whatever. It's all off. Every third Monday is a free day where they study at home or whatever. But fuck, school teachers never work. They don't work half the year. Okay. But the complaint is they don't get paid. Okay, well, if I had a job where I didn't work for the entire summer, okay. Well, why don't we do a thing where we go, let's not tax school teachers. Let's incentivize people to go. And with this talk that we do all the time where these people don't get paid enough. They don't have enough money to live in the neighborhood they work in. The cops, the firemen, they don't make enough money to live in the neighborhood they serve. Good. Don't tax them. But let's tax the shit out of the people that are just bringing people booze. All you do is bring people booze. That's all you do. And carbs. Okay. All right. I'll thin it out more.
All right.
If you're low end tip gig like Uber Eats or something, you're dropping pizzas off and stuff, fine. We won't tax it. Also, but I don't want to incentivize. Why are we attracting people to a skillless, endless, dead-end job where you just bring people booze and carbs? Any parent ever look at their young son and go, I hope one day he's a bartender, or he brings people food, or he deals pinochle? Is that a wish? Is that a goal? No. Why is that incentive? What we're attracting. Now you go, fuck. Bartender at a decent steakhouse not being taxed on tips, you're going to make twice as much as a school teacher. So fuck it.
Yeah.
Why train? Why
Can we have a cutout for the Benihana chef?
Yeah. Okay. You're right. Look, here the cutout is if at some point during the course of your job you take a spatula and flip a shrimp tail into your hat.
Yeah.
We're not taxing.
I mean,
we're not taxing that. You're fucking.
That's a skill.
That's
Argue
a
all
skill.
you want.
That is a skill. Yeah, that guy could have been a surgeon. Probably, I'd let him operate on me, honestly. Yeah, Benihana, cut out for Benihana. Good point. All the rest, no. But we're not going to tax tips. We will tax tips, but we're not going to tax school teachers. So come on down.
What if plumbers start low bidding their jobs, but letting you know you have to tip me? Like it's a $500 job. I'm going to charge you $100, but you have to give me a $400 tip, so I don't get taxed on it.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I think they're going to limit it to service industry stuff, but I would be down with having jobs that, let's say, didn't attract people traditionally.
Won't this make some exploits? Like people will go, okay, now I'm in service industry.
I think you're going to have to work at a bar or restaurant or at a casino or something like that.
And it only goes up to $25,000.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so that, the bottle service girl will start having to pay.
Tax-free, though. 25 grand
Right,
tax-free.
that's nice.
You're paying $12,000, $10,000 in taxes on that 25. So that's a shitload of money.
Yep. Comedians never get a tip. We should get tips because we're the truth tellers. All right. Let's see. Dave Asprey, author and entrepreneur and sort of all-around life coach guy. He's going to come by. We're going to have a nice one-on-one sit down with him, and we'll do that right after this. Delete Me. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Delete Me does all the hard work of wiping you and your family's personal information from data brokers' websites. They know your privacy is worth protecting. Sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. As someone with an active online presence, privacy, well, that's really important to me, and that's why I signed up with Delete Me, and you should too. It's Delete Me, right, Dawson?
Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting ACS to 64,000. The only way to get 20% off is to text ACS to 64,000. That's ACS to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply.
Caldera Labs. Guys, let's be honest. We'd all like to look a little bit younger. Maybe feel a little bit more confident when we look in the mirror. That's exactly what Caldera Lab is here for. Their high-performance skincare is designed specifically for men. Simple, effective, and backed by science. With products like The Good, an award-winning serum to help protect your skin from environmental stressors, and the Eye Serum to help you reduce the appearance of tired eyes, dark circles, and puffiness. You really can't go wrong. They have cutting-edge formulas, they're plastic neutral, and certified cruelty-free. It's Caldera Labs, right, Dawson?
Whether you're starting fresh or upgrading your routine, Caldera Lab makes skincare simple and effective. Don't settle for drugstore junk or steal your partner's products. Elevate your routine with skincare made for you. Head to calderalab.com/Adam and use code Adam at checkout for 20% off your first order.
All right, Dave Asprey is here. Bulletproof is where you know him from. Also, a new book, which you can pre-order now. And pre-order it. I've written books, and people pre-order them, and it shows up that day, the day of the book release. So that is called Heavily Meditated. And like I said, it's available now for pre-order. It'll be out May 20th. Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you, Adam.
So, congratulations, by the way. I was at the Equinox Gym in the Palisades shortly before the fires.
Oh, wow.
And I went and looked at the bar, for lack of a better term, where they have the juices and the coffees and the whatevers. And they said bulletproof coffee with the butter and the whole 9 yards. And I thought, good, mainstream, nice. And then thought, I can't wait till you guys open, because the bar was behind the opening of the club by a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
And, it's always funny. It's like, I'm like, why can't I get some coffee, some bulletproof coffee? And they're like, well, the health inspector hasn't, health inspector. And then it's like, and then the whole fucking place burns down.
Yeah.
Everything's gone. So I don't know about the health inspector, but
and
burning
also,
the whole place.
You ever seen a health inspector who's in shape and not just massively overweight?
No,
Yeah, me
never
either.
seen that.
Yeah, I don't know if you should trust those guys.
I totally agree. So, let's see. It's still closed. The Equinox in the Palisades is still there, but it's still closed, and it's been a month and a half. So, Dave, let's go through the journey. And Is it a kind of a thing where it starts with like nutrition and eventually it goes from the sort of the gut to the head? Like we're going to keep going on this journey. At some point, it's going to be thoughtful meditation and cold plunges and stuff. It's not going to stop at MCT oil.
It's not going to stop at MCT oil. The reason I started the biohacking movement is that I was into longevity. I was running a nonprofit in Palo Alto for people who wanted to live way longer than you're supposed to. And no one under 60 would ever come to our meetings. And I was the only guy under 30. I'm like, this is possible. And people just aren't seeing it yet. So I created this idea of biohacking to get control of your biology. So I started out because I wanted to lose 100 pounds and I wanted my brain to start working again.
Oh, you wanted to lose 100 pounds?
Yeah, I was 300 pounds.
300 at your max?
Yep.
What were you, 6'2"? 6'1"?
I'm 6'4".
Oh, shit. This is the weirdest. I don't know. Maybe I get like my brain working again. Because I was driving in. I was like, Dave's really tall. I remember thinking, I'm 6'2". So if you're taller than me, I count you as tall. And then you walked in. Maybe the backpack was holding you down a little or something. I go, oh, he's not as tall as I thought. So then I thought he was 6'1" or 6'2", but 6'4". All right, keep going. 200 pounds, 6'4". Continue.
It's kind of funny. I thought you were short because when you're really tall, everyone is down, so you don't notice the difference. And then, like, if I'm by Tony Robbins or somebody, I'm on stage going, like, my neck. So you kind of know that.
Also,
feeling too.
I never. There's something about a memory of height that's always off with me. But anyway, 6'4", 300 pounds.
Yep.
What were you doing to get to 300 pounds?
Well, I lived in a house with toxic mold that is about 10,000 times more estrogenic than human estrogen. It's one that they feed to cows to make them fat on 30% less calories.
So you were like imbibing it on a nightly
and I had
basis.
thyroid issues as a result of that, which meant my body thermostat was low. And I went to the gym 90 minutes a day, 6 days a week, relentlessly for 18 months on a low-fat, semi-vegetarian diet, and I still weighed 300 pounds and had a 46-inch waist. And I'm like, I'm just not trying hard enough.
Right.
So
really, 90 minutes a day,
religiously,
6 days.
I skipped Sundays only.
And what was your diet back then?
Well, at the time, we believed that calories made you fat. And since fat had more calories, you should eat less. So I was on a low-fat diet and, beans and rice and vegetables and occasional meat and lots of salads.
Right. Okay. So the carbs were high and the fat was low.
Yeah. And where I am now, I'm 6% body fat and I'm never hungry and I don't even have to try to stay lean. In fact, it's hard to put fat on right now.
Well, let's just skip ahead and go to what a daily day is for Dave in terms of diet, sort of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm always interested in the people who specialize in this stuff, getting specific.
There's abundant evidence that intermittent fasting can help you live longer or at least perform better. The first major book on intermittent fasting was the one we talked about last time I was on, The Bulletproof Diet. So I do that quite often. But what I do now is more religiously get 1 gram of animal protein per pound of body weight that I want to be. So for me, it's 200 grams of animal protein. That's most important.
So what does that look like? What would that look like on our plate?
A couple pounds of steak.
2 pounds of steak. Yep. So 2 pounds of steak would be 32 ounces. And 32 ounces is a lot for one sitting.
It is.
So you're talking about, and then where would we be with salmon or chicken or other forms of animal protein?
You can eat some salmon, but it needs to be wild caught because farm salmon has a lot of bad stuff in it.
Right.
Problem is all wild fish now has PCBs, plastics, microplastics.
So all wild fish is kind of no-fly zone.
So
chicken.
I'll eat wild fish once a week, and I'll take things that bind the toxins. Chicken is a low-quality protein compared to beef, but it's better than some kind of processed vegan protein thing.
Is something like elk?
Oh yeah,
the sort of cream of the protein crop.
Bison, buffalo, beef, lamb, elk, deer.
So if you're going from the top down to the bottom in the animal protein department, are we starting with elk?
It's all the ruminant animals. Probably bison is going to be the best. But at a certain point, they're all within 5%.
It's academic. And then elk, and then...
You can have deer, and whether deer is better than beef, well, how good was the cow? So bottom line is wild-caught game is going to be your best.
Right. And you can purchase that now.
You can. And there's a lot of grass-fed meat. In fact, the first all grass-fed, no seed oil restaurant in LA was the Upgrade Cafe, formerly the Bulletproof Cafe in Santa Monica. Because I couldn't buy a grass-fed steak at a restaurant anywhere, so I opened a place. We shut it down during the pandemic. But eating that way, I've never been this lean and had more energy, and I've done this for 15 years now and helps millions of people lose weight on it.
So it's a gram per pound, so easy for you, 200, easy to do the math. 32 ounces, grass-fed beef, let's say. It would be more chicken or possibly more fish, but we're kind of trying to stay away from that anyway.
Yeah.
So then how does that manifest if we're not going to sit down and eat 32 ounces of beef in one sitting?
I eat at least 2 meals a day.
2 meals a day.
And it sounds weird. A lot of people have learned...
Would one of those be breakfast, or do we skip that?
If you want to do it perfectly, you should have a late breakfast and an early dinner to match when the sun is in the middle of the sky. But no one's perfect. So I typically have more of a lunch and an early dinner. And people think you can only have 30 grams of protein. That's been disproven. About 3 years ago, I'm like, I'm only eating 2 meals a day. I have to eat 100 grams of protein per meal. That seems impossible. But if I do that, I'm going to get protein farts if I don't absorb it. We all know what those are. So I just did it and I tested it and I just got leaner and leaner and leaner. And studies show when you eat that much high quality protein, that it has the same effect on GLP-1 as taking Ozempic or something like that. I've taken Ozempic one time 6 years ago to do a podcast on it. So all the weight loss that I had came from just knowing how to eat.
Other forms of protein in your diet then, if you weren't getting it all from the beef?
There is a magic form of protein. It's dairy. But most people, or at least more than half of people, are sensitive to cow dairy protein, including me.
Most people are more than half.
Yeah, more than half. Butter usually works. Ghee, clarified butter, works for even more people. But you can get goat.
Is ghee better than butter?
Probably.
Right. Okay.
And it turns out butter has 2 things in it when it's grass-fed and cultured that most people don't know about. One of them is high doses of vitamin K2, which is critically important. And the other one is the first new essential fatty acid discovered in 90 years. It's called C15. And so I didn't know why all the different reasons butter worked in coffee, but I did know that it worked and you could test that it worked. And this is the thing about biohacking. It's like, we might know why. Do we get results? We're going to keep doing it for longevity, for consciousness, for all that stuff.
Better to put butter than whole cream in coffee.
For sure.
Yes. But whole cream better than skim milk or carnation,
or almond
whatever.
milk or any of that crap.
Right.
So it's funny. When people start eating that way, they start losing weight. It means your mitochondria can make more energy. And anyone who starts biohacking for a problem like I did, you eventually end up, I want to live a very long time and I want to learn to be happy and more conscious. So biohacking's always been to get people into the longevity and the consciousness path. And people sometimes miss it. The idea for Bulletproof Coffee came to me on the side of Mount Kailash, the holiest mountain in the world. I've meditated on multiple continents with gurus. I run a neuroscience company around meditation in Seattle. People spend 5 days upgrading their brains. And I thought, okay, I've taken the people who follow my work through this. How do I get the body and energy I want? How do I increase my cognitive function so I'm smarter, right? How do I learn how to fast? How do I go deep in longevity? Well, what's left? I want to be happy and conscious and have a reason for being here. So I'm sharing that journey and heavily meditated.
So, it's interesting because I have a little bit of a preconceived, I don't know, it's not preconceived, but I come from a family of people that were actively trying to sort out their mental state. And there were readers and they were thinkers and they were, involved with therapy. And they really burned a lot of calories in that department. And I'm not, this is not a condemnation of that at all, but it didn't work for them because I realized it kind of became its own mental crutch. Like it became its own they were incapacitated by their own obsession with their own mental state. And then at some point it becomes very narcissistic because you're like, I cannot play catch with you, son. I'm going on an inner journey. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm like 9 and the sun is shining and I want to wrestle or I want to throw the ball or I want to run. You know what I mean? And you're like, I am improving myself through this therapy, you know, and I realized that for these people, meaning my immediate family, it became a weird narcissistic endeavor and a kind of a handicap plate that they could put on the dashboard and park wherever they wanted in life. And then they were able-bodied and walked right into the front of the Costco. You know what I mean? Right. And I was like, it sounds good that you're on this journey, but the people around you are not benefiting from this journey, and you're not really benefiting from this journey. But people sort of, here's the equivalent, or here's my analogy. My mom went to junior college for like 19 years. Not to learn a skill or a trade or become a nurse or anything. She went there so people left her alone. So people would say like, hey, you're 49. What are you doing? So, I'm going to college. And people go like, oh, that's so nice. You know, at a later age, whatever. But it just became a front for her to be left alone. Right. And she never went anywhere with it. She never, nothing ever came out the other end. And so I realized therapy or the journey for some people, sorry, this is getting cathartic, it becomes like I'm in my 19th year of junior college. Are you really doing something, or are you just getting people to sort of leave you alone because you're an adult who doesn't want to work? And so I was always a little, not skeptical, because I understood what it was, and I've been involved with therapy and stuff like that, but I've always been sort of like, take a hike in nature, listen to classical music, jump into a cold lake, like hug your kids, go play a game of capture the flag, like break a sweat and get out there. And people are like, I can't, I need, I have anxiety, it's crippling. I have to put down the Doritos and go take a hike. That's been my tough love approach to this stuff. And the part where you're conscious about what's going on and you're going on a journey is good as long as something comes out the other end and it's not just a prolonged journey where you learn to ignore everything else in life.
Going on a journey isn't even necessarily good. If you think about it, like, well, I wanted to go to New York, so I started walking.
Right.
Or I got on an airplane.
Right.
So this is going to sound bad, but hurry, meditate faster. Like, get it done. Do the things that bring you results. And I have spent a lot of time in a lot of different lineages, and they all teach things that are not the Western model, which is about thinking about feelings. Thinking about feelings doesn't work very well.
I agree.
Meta-awareness is nice, and it's good if you're saying, well, I'm sitting in my board meeting, and I really want to punch that venture capitalist in the face, but I'm going to think my way out of my impulse. Okay, good job. You're an adult. Okay. Right. The next thing, though, is what could I do to turn off that inner desire so I didn't have to spend any energy suppressing it with my brain?
Right.
And the vast majority of what I'm teaching about in Heavily Meditated comes from 10 years of putting electrodes on high-performance people's brains at 40 years of Zen and teaching them a process to go in and reset the alerts that go off in your nervous system. So if something pushes your buttons or you're having anxiety or you're feeling triggered, well, that's your fault.
I agree.
It means there's something that you're not doing and you're allowing your body to have that feeling. The feeling is real. I've suffered greatly. I've had all that stuff. But it's your job to go in, and if you want to do a Western thing, be on a couch for a couple hours a week and talk about it a lot so you can live your life. You will not get better that way the vast majority of the time, and full respect to all the therapists who are friends and do good work. What if you could do something that actually flipped a switch? She's like, I don't feel triggered. I don't have to deal with it anymore. That's been my process. anything that ever pushes a button for me, I go in, I do the reset process that's in the book, and I do it with electrodes on my head. It's like a lie detector, so I can't trick myself to thinking I did it when I didn't. Our powers of self-deception are legion. And when you do this, the amount of free energy in your life to go play with your kids, to go be in the forest, or to do something that matters, it goes up dramatically.
How much? As something we don't, I feel like we don't really talk about because it can be discouraging, is sort of pre-wiring and predisposition. And I have a dog that's a Labrador, and he's just detuned.
Yeah.
He's chillax. It's hard to get him. You can't get him going. Mm-hmm. And then I have a son who's kind of chillax and detuned. And I have a daughter who's very tuned up and very energetic and very on, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And I realize I'm pretty detuned, and I've always just been detuned. Yeah. I think you can kind of do a test with people to see what their wiring is have 4 or 5 people standing around and have a car go by and backfire and see which one jumps. Because I don't move, but other people's hands go flying into the air. And I realized, they're much more delicately wired. I have a detuning. And so, and I'm not saying it's good. It doesn't serve me all the time. In general, it's good. It's good for if you have to do a car race and they're going to put you in some car and the car's big and it's fast and it's inherently a scary piece of equipment and it's got a cage and stuff and you have to climb in the window and it's very claustrophobic and it's very tight and it's very, once you get all strapped in, you can't really turn your head or anything. You have to look at the mirrors to see what's going on, and it's loud and it's whatever. And I can sit in the car for an hour before the race just almost falling asleep.
Wow.
But it's not because I think I'm great or I'm going to win the race. I'm just detuned. I can just go, just sit here, just shut it off and just sit. And other people might feel out of breath or claustrophobic or anxious or thinking about what could happen or incident, peril, injury, death, what have you. I just don't, I'm not wired that way. I try to tell people who are wired more like chihuahuas than labs, bring it down. Just bring it down. But I don't, then we get back to my son and my daughter. I don't tell my son to bring it down. He's already down there. My daughter's not going to bring it down because she's a chihuahua. And by the way, it serves her in many applications. Right. You know what I mean? Like being the Labrador, napping on the porch of life that's not really go out and get some while the sun is shining kind of thing. And so now we're in this world where it's like, tune it down. Bring it up. It's time to go. Oh, now tune it down again. And that's kind of the part that's difficult is to get people to go, it's go time. We're doing this. And then go, now it's time to bring it down.
What you're talking about there is self-regulation of your nervous system. And it's possible to learn to go into let's focus, let's compete, let's kill if you're a warrior, and to almost instantly drop into let's chill. It is totally within your capability set to learn that. Problem is, your nervous system decides way before your conscious brain is there. This is in the first 5 years of life mostly. How tweaked should you be? How worried about the environment should you be? And it decides on that worry in 1/3 of a second before your conscious brain even knows anything that's going on. So if I clap my hands, you think you hear it after the sound gets to you, but your body hears it, holds on to it for 1/3 of a second, decides whether you should pay attention to it and whether you should feel fear or ignore it or just pay attention to it. And then you believe whatever your body tells you. So if your nervous system is upregulated without your knowledge or consent, like mine was, I had PTSD from being born with a cord wrapped around my neck and from bullying and a bunch of other stuff. Most people have, I didn't even like the word, but they have trauma. There's some time when they were little and they felt unsafe. That's all it takes. And then the body's like, okay, that was an unsafe time. Anytime for the rest of your life, the situation around you kind of looks like that, I'm going to give you these feelings, the chihuahua feelings. And there's no moral judgment about that. So you're saying, well, if I have my phone here and there's just alerts going off all the time from every one of my apps, I can't function. So you go and you turn off all the alerts. Well, your nervous system's the same as your phone. You learn to turn off the alerts. So what's left is I can be present, I can be focused, I can drop in, or I can amp up.
Well, there is some moral judgment from me.
I could see that.
And the reason there's moral judgment for the adults,
Yeah.
not for the kids per se, but for the adults is you do know the difference between a donut and an apple. You're choosing to eat the donut, but you know the difference. You're a big boy, you're a big girl. And little things like, I've said it a few times, I'm not a hero, but I've been doing this for 16 years. I've never brought my phone into the studio. There is no phone for me because I don't want to know. I don't want to look down and see, my attorney called. What's he want? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'll call him after the show. But now I'm thinking about what this thing is.
Oh, it takes you out of being present. By the way,
Yeah.
my phone's on airplane mode. It's just over there.
No,
And it's not in my pocket. Because I'm the same way. I ignore it.
Zero judgment with the guests. You have your phone, it's on airplane mode. Fine. You leave it out there. One of my idiots will steal it or get your next recipe for bovine butter or something off there. But I just know myself. And I'm not good. I'm not great. I'm not anything. I know enough not to bring my phone in. And sometimes when people say, did you hear so-and-so on so-and-so's podcast talking shit? I go, no. And they go, you want to hear so-and-so? I go, no, I don't. I'll take your word for it.
So
I'm moving on. Now, I'm not indulging myself in this shit. I also know, like when I said I'm displaced from Malibu.
Okay. Yeah.
I have no home.
I'm sorry, man.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I know rich people. That's going to be
God,
the name.
that's so blunt, but true. All
That's
right.
going to be the name of my book.
Very nice.
So I just was hanging out with my dear friend, attorney Mark Garagos, and he said, you stay in my guest house. And I said, fine. And then he walked me all the way along the spacious, what I would call it a yard, let's call it an estate, the grounds. And he goes, there's a swimming pool, and it's freezing. So have fun in the morning.
Nice.
And I said, I will. And I said, I'm getting in that goddamn pool every morning before I go anywhere. And okay, not a hero. I just understand what works. Yeah. And you understand what works too. And if you do not choose to engage in that behavior, then yes, I will blame you. If you're going to be a bundle of anxiety and nerves because you're staring at your phone constantly versus setting it aside and taking a dip in the pool.
I got to ask you, though, you're using a crutch. Because if you're really in control of your urges, your phone could be right here the entire time and you wouldn't touch it.
That's a good point, but I am so bad with technology that I physically shut my phone when I come in here. So it could sit here, but it would be physically off, not on mode, not on silent, not on anything.
Right.
I just physically shut it because I'm scared I'm going to put it on airplane mode and it's going to start vibrating in the middle of something.
Look at all of the work you're doing to overcome an urge instead of just turning off the urge.
Well, no, I don't have the urge.
Well, then why do you have to turn your phone off?
I turn it off. Well, first off, I'm sort of habitual.
Okay.
Like I'm sort of just do things in this order and have your order.
Right.
Kind of like a pilot, sit down, check the flaps, check the rudder, check the wind, dunk, dunk, doink. Some of it is kind of race car stuff where it's like ignition, hit the coils, hit the thing. It's like there's a procedure for stuff. I'm also very much of a mindset of don't get it down to a 3% possibility, remove the possibility. You know what I'm saying? So just remove it.
It's a smart strategy.
So I started this 20 years ago, which is I don't know with the silent and the airplane mode and stuff. I don't trust myself. So because here's what it is. I think I can put the thing on silent mode, but then the Amber Alert would kick in and would start going, me, because I don't know if that overrides, flood warnings.
You just want to know.
I physically shut it off for a couple of reasons. I don't like the idea of it being on, like in the next room, like ringing, or I'm getting a text from my.
Yeah. You want peace.
Yeah. What if I'm getting a text from my side piece, or my gay lover?
Right.
You know what I mean?
You got to keep them all straight in your head.
Just buzzing on the table, So I physically shut my phone and I just put it over there, and it's part of the repetition, but it's also part of the zero. So 16 years of doing this podcast, zero phone ringing inside the studio with the possible occasion of me going, I got my phone because I took a picture of something I wanted to talk about, and at that very moment, somebody texts me or something. But
it really
by
does.
and large, I've removed it, and I don't have any anxiety about it. It's
You're
a
just
procedural thing. Yeah. And I'm not better than anyone. I'm just saying
that's your
just remove it.
It's your coping mechanism, and it creates presence. And one of the things that happens when you start meditating, you can spend a lot of time meditating, or you can find other ways to drop in, and then you just don't feel the desire to reach for the phone. You're saying, because I'm doing something else right now.
Right.
And you can have a whole meal, and your phone can be off in the next room, which is less work cognitively, or it can be right next to you, but you develop this inner sense where I don't care what my phone says because it's not in charge of my day. It took me a long time to get there. And I have missed messages from dear friends. I'm like, well, there's 100 text messages. I've been on video all day. I'm just not going to look at them.
Right.
It doesn't run my life. And I don't have any anxiety. There's probably, I'll tell you the number. It's going to be ridiculous. It's, let's see, 1,458 unread text messages.
Really?
Oops. Like, sorry, guys, if you're a dear friend or you reach out, hit me up again. I probably missed it because there's no way to stay on top of that.
1,400 unread text messages. I wonder how many I have now. Uh-oh, we may have to call on the phone.
Oh, we're going to have to boot it up.
Yeah. Well, get the phone. I'll see what how many unread.
When they're getting the phone, I got a thought for you. I talked with Danica Patrick about this, another race car driver. There's a thing that happens when you're attracted to speed, and it has to do with neurological speed. Mm-hmm. And when you have the ability to go really fast and to sort of bring everything in reality in, it can actually be stressful just to sit still. I think kind of the faster your brain can be, like, why is everything so slow?
Oh, no, that's a good. Yeah. You're bringing up a good point. Thanks. No.
First time in 16 years, Adam's got his phone on his show.
To be accurate, it's probably been 4 times in 16 years where I asked for some stupid text somebody sent or some material, some joke. Okay, so now I'm turning it on because it's not on.
Man of his word.
This summer, Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Summer of Cinema is here. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Mission Impossible, Beverly Hills Cop, Good Burger, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Bring the action with you and stream for free from all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
You've tapped onto something I've screamed about quite a few times, which is, I know what it's like to go fast, and I'm not bothered by it. I also know what cars are capable of because of driving them in competitive situations, or to their capacity or limit. Right. Yes, I know around the edge. No one really knows exactly where the edge is, and that's where the problem comes in sometimes. But when I'm driving, or when I used to drive back to Malibu, I would be sitting in a canyon, and I would be behind some 2019 BMW. And it would be going 18 miles an hour through that canyon. And I would be behind the person, and it would be like someone's put a pipe cleaner up my urethra, and I was just like, go, good, and always inevitably the person in the passenger seat, oftentimes a woman's like, well, what's going on? Leave the guy alone. And I'm like, the speed limit says 35. We're doing 19. What's going on? And by the way, if I was in my 72 Datsun 510B sedan, I would be averaging 82 miles an hour through this canyon.
Right.
I know what we can do, and we're doing half of the posted speed limit. And that's half of what we could be doing. And I'm having anxiety.
Yep.
I'm having anxiety. Like you would see me, I would be uncomfortable, and I'd be just pull over. Just pull over. And I'm flicking my high beams, and the person's not affected at all.
Right.
And I'm like, just pull over, I'll go by. Just pull over, I'll go by. Yeah, and I look in my rear view, and there's a wagon train of other folks that are being held. And I was like, just pull over. And the person in the car with me, so I was like, just turn up the music and like leave it be. So yes, that is a thing.
It is.
It's a thing in life, yes. All right, I'm going to see if I have unread text. Let's see. Oh, wait, messages.
Does that say OnlyFans? What is that?
I don't even know how to do how many unread texts I have.
It should just be a little flag on top of the icon.
480.
Oh, that's a pretty good number.
Yeah, but you beat me by over 1,000, or a little under 1,000. That's still pretty good.
I think that's a sign of mental health. And I tell all my friends, I'm like, look, if I don't respond and it's someone, please text me again. It's not intentional. I'm not leaving you on red or any of that stuff. It's just that I'm present for my family, for my work, for whatever I'm doing. And when I'm present for checking messages, I'll get as many as I can, but I'm not going to do it all.
No, I agree. And we are all guilty of sending something out, not getting a reply, and then one thing I'm definitely guilty of, reading something into it. Is that guy pissed off?
Women are better at reading crap into that than men. Like, it took him an odd number of seconds to respond, and it means something. And I don't think it means anything for most guys, the way we respond.
Well, you're saying better than. Maybe worse.
That's what I mean.
Oh, emails, I got 25,000.
I don't even want to look at emails.
Oh, really? Because I got you beat, bro?
No, it's that I haven't even looked at that number. Let's see. It doesn't count it because I use Outlook here.
Mine's in red, a red bar that says 25,195.
Mine doesn't give me a number, but it's.
Oh, really?
Giant. I have somebody who checks my email for me and flags. Okay. Actually, she takes screenshots.
All right, so back to women reading into stuff. Yeah, you say better than, but I don't know if it's better.
They typically do it more. So I'm dating.
Oh, yes, completely.
Yeah. I'm dating a relationship coach, a top expert in the field named Christina Weber. And she talks about this in the masterminds with couples. And literally a lot of women, they're like, what does it mean? And it doesn't mean anything.
Right? I totally, listen, I totally agree. Women, and I've had this experience a lot, whereas I was eating dinner with a couple once, and the woman I was with was kind of leaning over her pasta plate, and her hair was going into the food. And the woman sitting next to her in the other couple sort of took her hair and went, hey, sweetie, it's going into the food. Like, bring it. And then on the way back to the hotel, I was like, can you believe that bitch trying to... And I was like, your hair was in your food. Yeah, but she knew what that move was. That was a move. I go, no, your hair was... Move? Here's what I'm saying to everyone. Not everything is something. Most stuff is just, when I talk to women a lot, they go, what did he mean by that? Or what was going on? You see what they tried to do? You see that move? Yeah. I go, I was there. I don't have anything. And there's plenty of dudes, by the way, people don't like the pejorative talk, but they have kind of a chick wiring, and there'll be guys doing that too. Lots of guys in the arts have a kind of feminine wiring.
That if the way a woman texts them or a man has a whole bunch to do with them.
I remember once, many years ago, a million years ago, I was out at the Save On or something with Jimmy Kimmel, and I ran into an old guy that used to be in my comedy troupe or whatever, and he like said to me, "Oh, hey man, what are you up to?" And I said, "Oh, I'm working a lot now. I'm doing TV shows and radio and stuff." And he goes, "Oh, good for you. I didn't know about that." And then he left, and then me and Jimmy were like walking back to the car, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that guy knows. Yeah, he saw it. He's seen you on him. You're on MTV every night or whatever. He knows who you are. He knows what's going on. He doesn't want to give it up because he's a comedy troupe guy and he's delivering water now, and that guy used to be in your comedy troupe." And I go, "I don't know, maybe he doesn't have cable." You know, and he goes, "Oh, he knew." Now, by the way, my way is probably not the correct way because my way is 100% all the time. He said, I take everybody at their word.
Yeah,
and
there's a downside.
He just said, "I don't know what you're up to." And I went, "Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I'm doing a show on MTV. But Jimmy was like, "Oh, he knew. He just didn't want to." And Jimmy was probably right, but I go through my life in with this sort of verbatim, I guess you're literalist. Like you just said, you didn't see me, you don't know what I'm up to. I believe you.
Here's the real meditation skill question. Did you care whether he knew what you were up to?
No.
That's what it needs to be.
But I would have, to be fair to me and my ego, or lack thereof, if he would have said, if I ran into him at the at the Save On in Studio City, and if I ran into him a couple of years after I left Acme Theater, and 2 years into my career now on TV and syndicated radio, if he had said, "Oh, hey Adam, man, congratulations! Me and my girlfriend watch you every night on MTV," or "I love listening to K-Rock. I love Loveline, man. I'm a big fan." It
always feels good.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I would have felt good. But when he said, "I'm delivering water. What are you up to?" I was perfectly fine just to go, well, I'm working. Now I'm in the business a little. I wasn't going to, get into the rub it in his face or get it, because you're only at the Acme Theater ostensibly because you both want to be in show business. Right. You know what I mean? He's delivering water and I'm on MTV. So I didn't like the optics of giving him all the official particulars of what I was up to.
Yeah.
And no, I didn't care. I was fine with it. And when he said, "I have no idea what you're up to," I took him at his word and then didn't think about it.
And didn't
until
take
Jimmy
offense.
brought it up. No, why? My own family didn't watch what I did, and some people don't have cable, or they're not up at night listening to the radio. I'm always assume nobody knows what I'm up to.
Same here. Sometimes I'll introduce myself and like, "I know who you are." "Oh, cool, thanks." But there's no assumption. I think, Rick Rubin. Have you read his book on the Creative Act?
No, but I've heard him speak about it.
He's. I had the chance to interview him a couple of times, and just an enlightened human being. And in his book, he talks about how when it comes to creativity, the real artists, they're not doing it for anyone else. They're just doing it for themselves.
I've heard him say that.
And if you're doing it so that you can get the accolades, it's not authentic. And I think that's so real. And to your point, you didn't really care if you knew what you did.
I also do it for the money. So it's not a completely organic
most artists like
endeavor.
To eat. Yeah.
I like cars.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's you can't race cars.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as racing cars on a budget. It just costs a lot of money. But, as I've said to people, William Shatner likes horses. So he makes money and then he buys horses. Why is that that against him?
I don't have any judgment on any of that.
Yeah, no, I wanted to get paid for sure. And then I also just wanted to do what I wanted to do.
I'm the same way. I buy hyperbaric chambers and gene therapy, but it's the same vibe.
Yeah, it costs money. It's fine. I want grass-fed steak.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's more than Arby's costs. I get it. I used to take my Catholic big brother kid. We go to Taco Bell because I was broke. And he didn't have any money. And Taco Bell was the cheapest place you could eat, in the mid-'90s with no money.
Bean and cheese burritos go a long way.
Yeah, like back then, Carl's Jr. was very expensive versus Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a kid and I was broke, so we ate Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But I like going out for a steak and a martini, so now I decided to try to make money.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Some people, though, get really triggered by you saying that. And I'm like, oh, did you get triggered? You should do a reset process on yourself and take some deep breaths. Because if you got triggered, that's your fault. You're carrying the loaded gun. And there's nothing wrong with people choosing what happens in their life so they can do the things they like.
Well, I have my background is such that I don't carry any guilt or privilege or nepo anything with me. And I think if I came from a family that was well-to-do or that I had people in my life that were connected, that were helping me along, then I think I would play it closer to the vest and I would have some sense of, are you really here 100%? Because of your own ability and work ethic and so on and so forth? Or does your dad, working for that publishing company all those years, is that kind of how you got your first book? You know what I mean? Like there would be a lot, and I think rightfully so. I just happen to come from such poverty and such whatever the opposite of nepotism is. I just come from...
Right.
And because I wasn't, in the band Menudo when I was 14, I wasn't discovered.
Right.
I just, worked on a construction site and hauled garbage and just sat on a pile of drywall and ate junk with dudes.
I put auto parts in boxes for 5 years.
So
I'm with you, man. It sucked.
If you do that kind of stuff for a decade and you work in the dirt and you climb up on roofs and you eat off a lunch truck back when it wasn't cool to eat off a lunch truck, then you can enter this thing with this wide open, as far as whatever has worked out, I will own all of what has worked because I'm the sole provider of that. And so it doesn't bother me. And I those people do attempt in our newfound order of society to use it as a cudgel against you. But those people who try to use it on me almost certainly went to college, grew up in went to summer camp, been to Europe before their 25th birthday, had a car given to them in high school, all the things I'd never taken, the SATs. Things, all the exotic stuff I'd never done. So I tend not to listen to them.
They got trained to be judgy in college, most likely.
Yeah, well, it's another subject, which is I have no thoughts about what people think of me if I don't believe they're true.
That is a very healthy place to be.
But it does not mean that if people I cared about said so-and-so, the aforementioned Mark Geragos is very disappointed, I would fall to the ground and go, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? I would immediately do it. When I'm arguing with the teachers unions about reopening the LA Unified Schools and they say easy for Adam to sit home in his $7 million home counting his money to say we should reopen the schools, I just write back 7.3. That's all I wrote back to them, just 7.3, which is true. That's how much it costs.
That is epic. And if more people had that kind of, and it's not even toughness, it's resilience, I think the world would be a much better place.
I don't even know what to call it other than if you walked out of here, if you came in here and you're walking in and I was like, and you're like, hi, Adam, good to see you. And I was like, yeah, Dave, I'm on the phone or something. I walked past you. And then at some point, you came in here and I said, your last book didn't do as well as maybe the publisher thought in advance or something like that. And then you left and I didn't say bye. And then you sent a tweet out that said, I didn't have a great time on the Adam Carolla show. I'd go, oh, yeah, I should have stopped. Like I should have got off the phone and said hi when he came in or something. Like I shouldn't have. I would do that.
But it wasn't your intent to hurt someone's feelings.
No, but if you and I came in here and had a meaningful conversation like we're having, and it was good to see you, and so on and so forth, and I plugged your books and I plugged your stuff, and then you left and you just went, Adam Carolla's a racist, I would just laugh. I wouldn't have thoughts. I wouldn't try to get hold of you or correct you.
Do you know how unusual that is?
It's weirdly unusual, but I don't understand why it's not.
So there's two traumas, and I write about these in Heavily Meditated, and these affect entrepreneurs the most, and I write about my own stories with them. It's betrayal and injustice. Mm-hmm. And it's when you do the right thing and you still get punched in the face.
Yes, right? I do have issues with that.
Almost all people do. And the more successful you are, the more it is. In my case, we talked about Bulletproof earlier. Dude, they fired me from my own company and sold it off.
Right.
Right. So, by the way, Danger Coffee is my new coffee because who knows what you might do. And
I'll write that down.
And it's, I had to do a lot of my own reset process because others, I could have sat around in a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness and like, how is this right? And then betrayal. That might hurt even more. And people, they face this in their personal relationships and in business relationships. You have an employee or a business partner, or a board member, whatever, and you treat them well. And then something bad happens to them at home or an old trauma gets activated. And all of a sudden, they're saying shit about you that has nothing to do with you or reality, right? And they've fallen into narcissism or just into some sort of deep well. And then you're like, why am I getting betrayed by someone? I did everything right to support them. And then they stole money. Right? Or they're trying to ruin your reputation for no good reason.
I have literally had this conversation with Dr. Drew yesterday. I said, I had two roommates back in the day. One I did everything for, the other I did nothing for. And the one I did nothing for loves me. And the one I did everything for thinks I'm a douche. And I was like, I have no idea how it works.
It's crazy. But if you let that sit inside of you and you don't know how to let that out, it will turn you into a bitter, mean old person.
Well, I will say this. A lot of it is, for me, it's set against the backdrop of nobody doing anything for me. And so if you grow up in a world where people do a lot of stuff for you, then you do stuff for people and it feels sort of equitable or sorry, at least there's a process. Like you do
it's like a trade.
Yeah. So for me, for instance, I just grew up with poor people who didn't do anything for they didn't do anything for me, but they didn't do anything for themselves or anybody. Right.
Right.
And so at some point, I mean, you just go this way. You buy someone a new car and 3 weeks later, they're shitty. And you come from a place where no one would buy you a used piece of shit. And so then there's a weird chasm because if you come from a world where, I turned 16 and my dad got me a BMW, you know, and then I turned 35 and I bought somebody a car and they were sort of shitty about it. For me, it's nobody ever did anything. So when I do stuff for people and they're shitty about it, it's really vexing. Like I'm really like, oh my God, how can you... I can't process it almost.
There's a shift. And a lot of this is, I call it your meat operating system in the book. And this is the stuff that happens before you can think. And if you have in your model of reality that if you do something good for someone, that they're going to express gratitude or they're going to do something back, you're going to be disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
So you can reset that part of you to say, I'm going to do something good for someone because I wanted to. And I'm not doing it for gratitude. I'm not doing it so they'll do something good for me in exchange.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
And then there's this great sense of peace. And then when, I've helped a lot of people with my work and I don't expect anything for it. At this point, I used to, and I used to get angry about it. And now if someone walks up on the street and says, I lost 40 pounds and, we were able to have kids because of your stuff, like, thank you. I can receive that with just pure gratitude versus ego. But if I'm expecting it, then I'm like, I got what I earned. And so I had to really do a lot of personal development work to just not be a douche about that.
For me, it's funny. I break things down to kind of a brass tacks, which is as I think about, old roommates or ex-wives or old business partners or whatever that is, I just always think to myself, if you weren't born, my life would be exactly the same. If I wasn't born, your life would be very different in a negative way. And that's a kind of bottom line, but it is true.
That's harsh and so useful.
And then it's like, hey, bitch,
okay, now
where did the fucking attitude come from? Because you never could have been born, and my trajectory, good or bad, whatever it is, would be exactly the same.
Right.
Yours would be dramatically different in a negative way. So think about that next time you're being shitty about something with me.
Yep. And it's really about managing.
It's the opposite of meditation.
Not really. It's about managing what happens inside of you when people are shitty. And if nothing happens inside of you, you can choose to do what you want.
You should know that I'm mainly amused.
I can tell. Yeah.
I'm mainly amused.
Comedian, right?
I do. Like when I'm getting in an argument with my daughter and she's complaining about something and she's going, you don't do this or you don't do that or whatever it is. And I go, I lease you a Mercedes-Benz. And then she goes, Mom took me to pick it up. I find that humorous.
Okay.
That brings a smile to my face.
Nice.
I actually start laughing because I picture myself and I picture, you drove from La Cañada to Glendale one afternoon because you don't have a job. And then I make the payments for the rest of my life. But okay, that's an amusing answer to me. And I've found many answers from these people to be wildly amusing. And they provide them a lot. And I'm a writer, but I'm not good enough to write that well.
You know what you're doing? There's two antidotes to fear. And ultimately, all that pissed off stuff, when you unpack it all, gets down to fear, even though it's not obvious. And one of them is curiosity, and the other one is humor.
I'm both. I'm both. I find it amusing and sort of vexing.
Yeah.
And I mean it like, and there's also part of me that's jealous. That I go, where do you get this self-confidence or this chutzpah or like whatever you have? Where do you get it? Like I remember, and there's a few stories that come to mind, but one that was famous in my mind, but in the chutzpah department. This warehouse you sit in was purchased, 20 years ago. And I bought it to put my tools, woodworking. Where we're sitting now is just a woodworking shop that I'd made because I like woodworking, Yeah. And then I also park some cars and stuff like that. Yeah. But eventually, when word gets out, when you get a warehouse and it's in your sort of old neighborhood, your friends start bringing stuff over.
Oh, God. Like
and
that's
how it works. That's how it works. And at some point, my old business partner, Donnie, had essentially filled this entire back area with him and his cousins' old cars, rollers, engine blocks. They took it over, right? So much so that the hoist on the back that I bought a $6,000, pneumatic hoist so I could work on the car in the back. At some point, he had parked his Mustang on there and completely taken it apart, and it just sat there for like 2 years. And I had one of my cars parked back here amongst a sea of their stuff. And it was operable, it was running, it was a car, but it had the bumpers off. And I said at some point, I went, Donnie, don't you feel like you should get your car off my hoist so that it was brand new, I'd never used it, but it's 2 years old, but he had his car on it. I said, do you think you feel like you should move your car so that I could use my hoist in my warehouse? And I never charge rent or anything. And he goes, you got your car back there all taken apart?
Wow.
And I thought, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. Because I would immediately go, oh, shit, yeah, sorry. Fuck. I know. I seem like an asshole because you bought a new hoist. I parked my car and it took it apart and you can't even use it in your own warehouse. But he didn't work that angle. He worked what about you? Except for we're inside of my warehouse that I pay the mortgage on and he's charged no rent for. Now, it's amusing. It's funny, right? It's a funny story. It's also a little vexing, like where you go, whoa, wow, that's an answer. And then the third part is, I wish I had a little of that. I wish I had just a little of that, whatever that is, where I feel so good about myself that I could actually get on the offense about this when I should be on the defense.
That's a little bit of people pleasing, Adam. That like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't want to do that. Like, we learn when we're really young to whether we're responsible for someone else's feelings or not. And our whole lens on reality gets colored by that. And when you do enough of the work, you end up lessening that. So you're thinking, like you said, what other people think of me, I don't really care. But at that point, you're thinking, well, he's got something where he just really doesn't care.
Yeah.
Right? And
part of it is being stupid. I mean, I don't want to be a dick, but there are things. Listen, I hung around. I grew up in North Hollywood. I played football. I work construction. I know what stupid dudes do. And I'm also hang around with Dr. Drew and Mark Garagos.
Yeah, smart guy.
Mark Garagos and Dr. Drew wouldn't try that shit because they're too smart. They're too smart.
They're also high integrity.
Well, yeah, it's all of that. Yeah, and I totally agree. Mm-hmm. But it's also an IQ thing where they're like,
fair point.
I am going to sound like a complete fucking buffoon if I say this thing. Dumb people don't realize what they sound like because they're not smart enough to realize who they're talking to. Yeah. Which is a very interesting thing. When I'm talking to Mark Garagos, I know who he is. And when I'm talking to Ben Shapiro or Tucker Carlson or you, I know who you are, and so I wouldn't bring my line of bullshit to you guys.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Also, you know how to play the game. Like, there's a game, and if you grew up in poverty, you didn't get a good education, and no one taught you to think about the impact of your action, you're just going to blunder through life until you read some books or you figure it out, or you don't figure it out. And so I work on having compassion for people who are douchebags. I don't always succeed, but I do my best.
Do too. I have endless bandwidth for fuck ups and douchebags because that's where I come from. I get it, but I still sort of marvel when they go hard in the paint about certain things. But I'm sorry, as we're getting to the end,
I got something to share with you before you get to that.
Please.
Okay.
And I do want to just circle back quickly to the sort of breakfast, lunch, and dinner part because I cut you off last time.
Oh, yeah.
And we never really got to it. Butter, good. Ghee, good. Steak. But so what would dinner be for you, Dave?
Dinner's going to be steak. It's going to be probably cooked with tallow or butter. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be some kind of vegetables, but these are going to be less inflammatory vegetables. I'm going to eat arugula, not spinach or kale. Right?
Arugula, not spinach or kale.
Yeah, spinach and kale are just not good for you. They cause a lot of muscle pain, kidney stones.
Arugula, better. Cooked.
Way better. Cooked or raw, doesn't matter.
Cooked or raw. And how would we cook it if we cooked it?
Well, if I was cooking it, I would take my infrared salamander grill and I'd have the fat from my steak fall down onto the arugula and flash fry it in fresh tallow. And I put some Manchego cheese on it. That would be how I would do it.
How do you spell Manchego cheese?
Manchego. It's a sheep cheese. It's grass-fed, and it's delicious.
And what other vegetables might we think about?
You can have broccoli and cauliflower. We'll say the
broccoli,
vegetables,
cauliflower.
The stuff your grandmother would have eaten, not the stuff that's the superfood, wild whatever. A lot of the modern leafy whatevers, they're full of things that are really hard on our bodies and actually make us older.
Cauliflower. Okay, arugula. Sorry, go ahead. You're going to present what?
There's something else that I do that you mentioned in the morning. You're getting in that cold plunge. I've been writing about cold plunges, help to make them popular. But I talked about the metabolic benefits of doing it. So it helps you burn more calories and you get endorphins from it, right? But there's another piece of science, and this is in Heavily Meditated. And the chapter is called Go Spank Yourself. And it's because there's a body of evidence on neurochemistry. If you do something that is actually painful and you do it intentionally for even 1 minute a day, it resets your dopamine sensitivity for the rest of the day, which means it's easier to be motivated. And I call this bicep. And it's not this bicep, it's brief intentional conscious exposure to pain.
I've said to everyone I've been doing it for over 10 years.
Yeah.
I say to people all the time, they go, there's studies that say it's not as good. I go, I don't give a fuck about what it does for your joints. I do it for my head.
Yes.
And they go, They go, yeah, but it sucks. It hurts. It's cold. I go,
That's why.
it's the only reason I do it is because I don't want to do it. If I wanted to do it, I'd probably stop doing it. If I looked forward to it or I thought it felt good, then I would stop.
If you look throughout human history, we've been doing this stuff forever. The reason monks used to whip themselves, it's not because they thought they were bad. It's because if they had brief, intentional, conscious exposure to pain, they would be more present, and it takes less motivation to do the right thing throughout the rest of the day.
Agreed.
And we eat our spicy chili or wasabi. We get tattoos when we're in a lot of pain. A lot of people thought of tattoos are dealing with addiction and trauma.
100% of the people that gave up the heroin started slamming ink.
They do that because they're regulating their neurochemistry around dopamine.
I've always known that.
So you could just do the biohacker way of pain, which is make the cold plunge uncomfortably cold and get in there anyway.
I know. Number one answer is I don't like it.
Yeah.
I go, that's why you got to get into it.
Just
They don't.
It's 1 minute. That's all it takes. And the difference for your meditation state and your peacefulness throughout the day, it's insane. It has nothing to do with your biology of weight loss and mitochondria and cold signaling factors.
Start
None of that.
doing shit you don't want to do that doesn't feel good. All right, plug. Heavily meditated. It is out. You can pre-order it now, but it'll be out full release on May 20th. Dave, come back sooner than whenever you were here last, because I just feel like we just keep going forever with this.
Love it. Adam, you're amazing. And thank you for your 16 years of service with the podcast. You're awesome.
Thanks, Dave.